Underdog Collectibles is an online shop run for collectors by collectors. Join them every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night as they break new products, talk sports, and hopefully you'll pull a great hit to add to your collection. Visit them at www.udogcollect.com and tell them WaxPackHero sent you. Remember, always bet on the underdog. You're listening to the WaxPackHero Sports Card Minute, a podcast where we discuss both the hobby and business sides of collecting. I'm your host, Mike Sommer, and I want to help you buy, sell, and trade your way into a collection you'll love. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Now, I know this is an audio format, an audio medium, and you're probably listening to podcasts because that's how you like to consume content. But I know some of you also like to read. Yeah, well, there's still some of us who like to read out there. And so today I want to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about some of my favorite sports card websites and sports card blogs. I just wanted to kind of provide a resource for some additional places that you can go to consume sports card content. One of the things I like a lot about sports card blogs is that many of them, like podcasts, have a specific theme or a specific style of collecting that they celebrate. Some are more informational, some are more narrative and storytelling approaches, and I like that variety when it comes to sports card blogs. And so that's what I thought I'd do today. I've got an article up on the website at WaxPackHero.com with some of my favorite sites, and I'm going to highlight a few of those here in this podcast. We'll see how it goes, because it's really just me talking about a few sentences about each of them, some of the things I like most, and so we'll see how that goes as far as being a podcast episode. But first, I want to take a second to talk about StarStock, the newer online trading platform where you can buy and sell rookie and prospect cards from the three major sports. I've had a couple submissions that I've been talking about. I continue to sell through those submissions. I continue to buy cards on the site and flip those right there on the site. I've been very happy with my results. Made a few $100s so far just selling some of the lower end rookies and prospects that I have. I've talked to several friends who tried it out and they've had success selling off some of their duplicates and their extras. And so I would encourage you to check out starstock.com to see if it might fit in with your buying and selling approach. One of the first ones I want to talk about is Ken Kinsley's blog, Beans Ball Card Blog. And if you know Ken, you'll know that he is probably a collector first, but he also likes to dabble a little bit in the buying and selling side. And so every few weeks, he puts out an article that talks about a various collecting aspects, some of his favorite cards of a particular genre. He talks about selling to blowout. He talked about Hobby Palooza. He shares some hobby news from time to time. And he's got some other general sports card tips for collecting, getting autographs through the mail. I really like his blog. It's pretty clean. It's pretty easy to find what you're looking for. And so I would recommend checking out beansballcardblog.com. And by the way, I'll put a list of all of these that I talk about in the show notes. Next up is Beckett.com, the name in sports card information. Back from in the day when we used to get the magazines, well, now we've got Beckett.com. And Ryan Cracknell and some of the other writers put out some great information about upcoming cards, current cards and sets. If you're trying to track down and learn more about a past set, you can often find some of the basic information about that at Beckett.com. So I would recommend that as one of your go-to resources. Next, if you are really into sports card blogs and you want probably the most comprehensive list of sports card blogs out there, then you need to go to BDJ610 Sports Card Blog Roll. And that is kind of a complicated URL here. It's bdj610scblogroll.blogspot.com. But it has a list of pretty much any blog that you should be reading is going to be found in that blog roll. And so that's something you check out. If you really want to dive deep into this world of sports card blogs, check out BDJ610's blog roll. Another resource, another go-to for me if I really want to find out the latest hubbub of what's going on in the sports card world is the Blowout forums. And the Blowout forums, there's people on there frequently. There's a lot of frequent content, new breaking news a lot of times comes out in some of the threads there. And so it can be a great resource if you are looking to learn more about what's going on in the hobby. If you're looking to track down a particular card, the buy, sell, trade forums there are great. So check out the forums at Blowout Cards because I think you'll find a lot of good information if you're trying to learn. Next up is CRT Sports Cards. He has a lot of great content on breaking. He has some informational articles that he puts out about shipping, about some of the different sets. And more recently, he has one of the other great Project 2020 sites out there. He and I have a lot of similar things. He has a few different takes and a few different angles that he does on Project 2020, as well as links to what was a daily podcast on Project 2020. And so I would recommend checking out CRT Sports Cards as well. Then go check out Dub Mentality. Joey Shiver has been blogging forever. He's one of the godfathers of blogging in my mind. And he's got some great information. What Joey does best is celebrates cards from the junk wax era. And he takes those cards from his youth and he weaves a story about why those cards are meaningful to him, why they're significant to him, and the stories that he tells along the way make his writing very memorable. And that's one of the reasons that Beckett picked him up, and he now contributes articles to Beckett from time to time, which is really cool to see. So go check out Joey at Dub Mentality. Next is probably another forum that I'd recommend, and that's Net54 Baseball. I know that's not necessarily a blog, but it is a more vintage-focused forum. And if you're looking to learn more about vintage cards, I would check out Net54 Baseball. Night Owl Cards is another one of my favorite prolific bloggers. He regularly writes about a lot of different sets and a lot of different topics. I would recommend checking out Night Owl Cards. And then Bo, one of the fellow members of the Midwest Bureau, has his 1 Million Cubs Project site, and he blogs a lot about his quest to get 1 million Cubs cards. And he's also another one who's been putting out some great helpful content on things like shipping, on his experience with the new eBay managed payment system, and a lot of things like that. I like to read about Bo, both on his journey for the 1 million Cubs as well as some of the other tips that he shares for buying and selling cards. Val, one of my fellow co-hosts from the Hobby Hotline, his racing card info and NASCAR radio sites it's probably the industry resource for racing cards. He's got a lot of the checklists and some of the background information for a lot of the pre-Panini trading card world. And so from the early 2000s back to the 80s and 70s, he's got a lot of information about racing cards, and so I would check out Racing Card Info and NASCAR Radio if you are interested in learning more about racing cards. Next up is one that might be a little more controversial. You may not like Colin and Ryan, and their approach to covering the industry may rub a lot of people the wrong way, but I am still a fan of Sports Card Radio. I think Colin and Ryan, despite maybe being a little brash and abrasive, cover some industry topics in kind of a no-holds-barred approach, things that they might be doing just to stir a little pot or stir up the pot a little bit. But at the same time, I think they do highlight some of the things that need to be talked about that a lot of people like to maybe sweep under the rug sometimes. They also do provide some helpful content. And if you can get past some of the abrasiveness and some of the language, there's a lot that I've learned about building websites, about marketing sports card content, about affiliate programs that they've been able to profit from. And so if you can get past some of the standoffishness that they have on their podcast, and you focus more on the site and some of that other information that you can get out of the site, there are things that you can learn from them, and they share that for the most part free of charge. And so I would recommend checking out Sports Card Radio as well. And next is Sports Collectors Daily. Sports Collectors Daily is another site that posts daily articles pretty much covering the industry. And it's both about new releases as well as things like attic finds and some of those big discoveries and auctions and some hard to find merchandise that's going up for sale. It's one of the resources I know that GoGTS Live uses in their weekly show to get some of the latest hobby happenings. And so you can check out Sports Collectors Daily as well. I also really like to read and listen to Tanner Jones, Tan Man baseball fan. And he writes about cards and collecting. And similar to Joey, he grew up with the junk wax era being his primary focus. And he writes about his experience collecting Jose Canseco cards, his experience on whatever project that he's trying to track down. And that's one of the things about Tanner, is that his collecting focus changes frequently, and he's okay with that. And so there's always fresh things to learn and read about from Tanner at Tan Man Baseball Fan, because he's always shifting his focus and coming up with a new collecting project to track down. Finally, I would say, well, not finally, there's still a couple more, but the trading card database is another go-to resource that I use for checklists and set info. It's another good resource if you're trying to figure out where a card comes from, if a particular player is in a particular set. I really like to use Trading Card Database. A lot of the times when I write articles for the site covering a particular set, I link back to the Trading Card Database as the source of my checklist that I include. And so instead of typing it all out myself, I just list the Trading Card Database link, because pretty much that's all you need to see if you want to do that. The next one I'll talk about is waiting till next year. And Tom is a collector from Central Illinois like me, who loves the Cubs, and he likes to write about the Cubs and the many trades that he makes. And so he doesn't have a lot of long, in-depth articles, but he does cover the variety of different Cubs trades that he's put together as he tries to track down his Ryan Sandberg collection, as well as some of the sets that he likes to put together. So I would check out the Waiting Till Next Year blog as well. Well, I think that's going to do it for the blogs and sites that I want to highlight today. Now, they're on the website, like I said, I've got a list of 37 sites and blogs that I wanted to highlight. So there are more than I just covered today, and those are all good ones too. I tried to focus today more on ones that are still pretty active in their blogging and in their sharing of information. Some of the other ones that I wrote about don't have as many frequent posts or more current posts, but there's still some good information back there if you want to go back and read. A lot of the ones that I write about are writing about past sets or their collecting experiences, and so they don't necessarily have to be current to still be valuable. So I would recommend going to WaxPackHero.com, and then on the upper right hand side you will see the best sports card blogs post, and you can see the full list of all of the different sites and blogs that I recommend checking out. That is the link that I will be putting in the show notes. That will take you right there, so you can follow down the list. Well, this was a little different of an episode. I was kind of going down that article and sharing some of my thoughts on a few of those blogs. It's a little different than the type of thing that I usually do. I'd love to hear your feedback on it and know if this is something that you found helpful. Did you like hearing about some of the other online resources and places that you can go to read more about this hobby that we love? Let me know at WaxPackHero.com. Leave me some feedback. Leave me a review on the podcast at Apple Podcasts. I would love to get that 5-star review from you, or even a 1 or 2-star review, as long as you leave me some comments so I know what you like and what you don't like. Don't forget to check out the Hobby Hotline live every Saturday morning and Monday evening, where we have a live call-in show where you can call in and chat with us about whatever hobby topic is on your mind. Thanks, and I'll catch you next time.